Can you hear me? Okay. I can't hear you.
Hear me?
Oh, let me turn this off. Get off this. It's my stuff. Greetings, my brother.
Peace and blessings, Queen. What's the deal? Let's let's get some of that medicine and that knowledge to the people. I was looking for that video because I know sometimes when it comes to our people don't believe it until another type of people addresses it or confirm it. So I was looking for a video, but listen, without further ado, I don't want to hold you up from doing your thing. Go ahead and holler at the people. Let's see. I don't know. I got you two times on here. I don't know which one
Just
you rocking with. Let's see.
just delete it. Let's figure it out. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Right.
I can hear you. We can hear you. We rocking with you. Without further ado, do your thing. I'm looking for this video that you sent me where an attorney is addressing the atrocities and the wickedness of this corrupt system. I wanted to play that so people can get a better understanding of where we coming from and what's at stake if we don't destroy, not reform, but destroy this corrupt and wicked system.
Absolutely. I think that is very, um, yeah, that would be very helpful so that they can understand and see and really hear, what we go through and how we're dismissed and no one is actually helping. They'll
Right.
come and give you their cards and things like that, but it's still happening, and parents are left to try to figure it out
Right.
on their own. So I think that would have been great. I should have sent it to you already in your
Send it to me on IG if you don't mind. Is it on IG? What
it's on
platform is it on?
Facebook on my story.
All right, I'm gonna just go to your Facebook. Don't trip.
When I
Do you?
tagged you.
All right.
Hmm. Did Samantha come in?
Nah, it's just me and you. It's just the two of us.
Oh, okay. Well,
You sent her the link.
yeah, I sent her the link. Hold on
We
one
can
second.
we can somebody just popped on. Hold on, we can take our time. Like,
Okay.
all right, here we go. There it is. There, Samantha. What's the deal?
Hey, how are you guys?
Incredibly well.
I'm doing great. This is Samantha. She's
Is
in
Ray here?
Virginia. Yes, I'm here. Hey, Samantha. This is Ray.
Hey, what we talking about?
We're talking about the atrocities that we have been facing around the world, nationwide. Um, you can share a little bit about your story. I know Bobby was trying to find the video that I sent him. Um, just to give the people an idea of what we're going through and what's happening, what's really happening.
Yeah, I hear you. So, just a short description on our case. My husband's daughter, she was 5 at the time. Her mom had just passed away. Her older brother lives with us as well. And she was going to school. I guess she was having a really hard time adjusting to mom not being here. And she went to school and lied about abuse. And they didn't vet the home. we stated multiple times we were under duress when CPS came to the house and they said that we need to go pick up the 5 year old from school and take her to the emergency room. Now, there was no emergency. She was not bleeding. She was not hurt. She was not malnourished. She had clothes that fit. She had, extra underwear in her backpack. She had a lunchbox, all that jazz. They still, DSS still insisted, we pick her up from school, take her to the hospital for a forensic evaluation. When we got to the hospital, they then had all three of our children submit to this forensic evaluation. My husband, the whole time, said he was under duress. And we were coerced to going there because DSS said that if we didn't go and pick the 5 year up from school and take her to the hospital, that they would come back and remove all three children. So that's how we ended up going and getting her from school and taking her to the hospital. When we get there, my husband stated we were under duress. We did not consent to any of the treatments or any of the evaluations that they needed to do because she was fine. She had just seen a pediatrician a few months before that. They did not care. They continued these invasive procedures where they took pictures of all three children, um, completely naked. They ran it seemed like a rape kit on the 5 year old to see that she, everything was fine, which it was. They said they did labs, blood work, drug screens, skeletal checks, a whole bunch of procedures that were recommended, but we never got medical reports from it. So, long story short, um, we go to court and the forensic nurse submits a resume saying that she's qualified to, say that these quote unquote injuries on the 5 year old were non accidental. At the time, we obviously didn't know better to look into the resume, and now that we did, we found out that she is not a registered forensic nurse. She's just a registered nurse in Virginia, so she's not able to make a medical determination that the child was, um, her injuries were non accidental. And it wasn't injuries, like she wasn't bleeding. She had like a scratch behind her ear and one little mark on her forehead, and then everything else was just like old, everyday scratches from the animals or riding bikes or little bumps here and there on her skin. She also had a huge birthmark, or she has a huge birthmark from her neck all the way down to the middle of her chest. And DSS tried to say that that was the extensive abuse on her body when we have documentation showing that, she's had that birthmark her whole life. And eventually, the, they still kept her in the system. We tried to do everything. They said we weren't complying. We filed a lawsuit, and then we challenged the level one finding that they gave us. And as soon as we filed for an appeal, which they were forcing us to do, they arrested us both 2 days later. Um, and we ended up withdrawing our federal lawsuit because we just didn't want any more retaliation. I mean, they had said that we had stabbed the child at this point. All of these claims were unfounded. And they're just trying to shut us up. So now we're going after the nurse because she didn't have the right to make that medical, determination. The 5 year old was not seen by a doctor that day at all. They lied on her paperwork and they said that she saw her pediatrician. We called the pediatrician. They have no record of her being seen that day. So it's just a lot of like paperwork that they're trying to cover up. We just now recently received the police report, which states that we were under duress, and it also says that the CPS worker threatened to remove all three of our children, and they were trying to hold that from us. They didn't want us to see that. So yeah, now we're at the point where we're just waiting to complete their services, which is a mental health evaluation, a violence risk assessment, and then they want us to have a parent monitor, and they say we can have reunification. So that's all we're waiting for. That's as far as we are with the case right now.
What's been going on? How long has your family been plagued with dealing with this unfortunate ordeal? Hello, hello.
Samantha, she might be driving. She lives in Virginia.
Okay,
Um, I can't recall how long her case been going on.
right,
Um,
right,
but I too myself has, dealt with the same situation, far as false diagnosis and things like that. I just had to fight that case for my 4-year-old son. They falsely claimed that he was failure to thrive, um, which I have taken him to the doctor myself, 314, and he was fine, well developed, no issues. We didn't see any issues. He just had a common cold, cough, a regular cough, runny nose. So he ended up going with his father that Saturday, and he said the signal weird. Hey, beautiful. And they said that he went with the father, and all of a sudden the father wait till 5 days to take my son to the doctors. CPS referred them to. They went to that doctor that never seen him a day in his life. They never called his doctor, primary care doctor that he's been with for uh, 2 years or 3 years that he's been on this earth. They never called him about his medical health. They said that he had two ear infections and he was failure to thrive with low weight. Um, I asked them, show me the documentation. It was all falsified. The father waited 5 days to take my son to the doctor. So obviously, he probably starved my son um, for, 5 days for him to lose that weight and then take him to the hospital. And then my other oldest son that I just got back, I looked at his medical records and they got it in there saying that he was diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome in 2023. But labor deliveries said something else that, these are untrue. And he came out perfect, healthy baby boy. APGAR scores 9 out of 9, no issues. So I definitely can understand and sympathize where she's coming from, but I made a complaint against that doctor that made those false diagnoses, and they just sent me something back and said that they were not going to pursue anything, against that doctor or nurse who falsely claimed my son was failure to thrive in fetal alcohol syndrome.
I see we got Miss Susan on here. How you doing, Susan? It's been a minute since we didn't chatted, but my love and my respect goes to you, and I want to just salute you for your constant fighting for parents everywhere. You feel me? It's an amazing thing that you're doing. Then I just want to acknowledge you, and I'm take the back seat and let you and Ray chop game.
Hey, Ray. So I was saying,
Hey,
Ray, my daughter Janny's here.
Hi.
She's a survivor of all of this.
Yes.
You know, well, anyway, Ray, I was saying, I think she needs to run for office. And I think that we need to support her because she's very articulate. She's very passionate. She's been through it. I mean, her daughter was raped in the system and literally, I mean, she's every story, every bad story that exists, Ray has experienced. So I think that was what I was talking to her about earlier today. So, but yes, we are victims of actually medical kidnapping because they assumed that my daughter did not have schizophrenia,
And they were wrong.
They were wrong. They took her off all medications that she was prescribed by doctors, not by me, by doctors. The chief of psychiatry at UCLA, she had been on this medication for 10 years. And anyway, we're in the middle of 2 federal lawsuits, so we can't really say as much as we've already said. But but they nearly killed her. Is what it comes down to.
And I was able to escape at 18.
Yeah. So.
I
Thank you for
appreciate that,
sharing.
and my love is with the both of you, everybody that's involved in this. It's a very wicked and nefarious system that we gotta find ways to destroy the system. You know what I mean? I want to play a video, and after I play the video, I love to hear y'all opinions about what y'all think. Does it relate to you? Do you agree with the video? We just continue the dialogue from there. Hold on 1 minute. Let me key this up. Go ahead, Ray. Do your thing.
Okay, thank you guys for joining in here and like and comment. Let us know where you're from. Are you going through the same thing? Maybe share notes because maybe you can learn something and we can learn something from you guys. And thank you, Bobby, for your time. Yes.
Yeah, Bobby, I heard about your case too, and I am so sorry. I just want to tell you, God bless you.
I appreciate that, Susan. You are an angel. You are, a champion of this movement. You know what I mean? So to hear that from you and you know who I am and be familiar with my case, that speaks volume. I appreciate you. It's all
Back at,
love.
back at you.
Yes, ma'am.
The fraud in child protective services. I have witnessed such injustice and harm brought to so many families that I am not sure if reform of the system is even possible. Services has become a protected empire built on taking children and separating families. My report is concerned with the children and parents caught up in legal kidnapping, convinced there is no accountability in child protective services, that caseworkers and social workers are very often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence. They fabricate evidence, and they seek to terminate parental rights unnecessarily. That the bureaucracy is huge. Look at who is getting paid: state employees, attorneys, court investigators, guardian ad litems, court personnel, and judges. There are psychologists, therapists, psychiatrists, counselors, foster parents, adoptive parents, and on and on. All are looking to the children in state custody to provide job security.
America, right? So why am I covering this? Well, children are being taken away from mothers and being given to PDF files in this country too. Fathers who can afford high-level barristers are paying for children to be removed or have 50-50 with them so that they can continue to have relations with the child and hurt the protective mother whilst they're at it. My DMs are full of women with stories where they are unable to protect their children from these perpetrator fathers. Exposing for kids is all that I can do. But any comment, like, forward, watching this video to the end, everything will help this to get more exposure. So thank you.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
All right, my apologies. There's this guy, I believe he's a troll, but periodically I like to give a little attention to trolls periodically just to see if I can potentially influence their mindset in the way that they perceive things. So this guy, he said something that I believe is derogatory. You feel me? Being a parent and a survivor of DCFS CPS, he says CPS needs more power to do what they need to do. So I responded, demonic, stop trolling, bro, please. And he responded, not trolling. You know how many kids get hurt by their parents because CPS ain't got enough power or people to protect them. Not saying they are perfect. There are bad SHIT that happens in there. But what about all the kids who made of not be alive if it wasn't for CPS?
You know what? And the main thing that I think people are ignoring is that all we need is evidence to come out, to be able to show evidence. You know, when you go to those court hearings, you aren't allowed to present any evidence. And
Not
that
at
is
all.
really where it begins, which is, of course, Wallace has always said the social worker is not testifying. They don't,
Right.
and it's like, why not? The social worker is accusing you of all these crimes. Why
Right.
can't you cross-examine the social worker? That right there is where it all goes wrong.
Right.
Go ahead, Janet. Yeah, Janet wants to say something.
Also, a lot of people don't know what goes on inside these group homes. I lived it. I was locked up in a group home for 9 months.
Because when she was taken off her meds, cold turkey, all of a sudden she's taken out of a public school. Then she's taken off all of her meds against doctor's orders. Now they're dealing against doctor's orders. Now they're dealing with a troubled teen. So now they have to put her in a lockdown facility to control her quote unquote behaviors that were already controlled with the medication she was prescribed for her very real mental health issue of schizophrenia.
But that's part of the agenda. They take away the medication that helps a lot of kids regulate. Now the children are deregulated and their behavior can escalate by the smallest thing because they're not on their medication. And what they do, they get documentation. And that's how they justify keeping our kids in these controlled environments, prescribing them additional medication, ostracizing them, and all manner of ill things that they do to our kids by just not implying, but just implementing that right there. Like, you feel what I'm saying? This kid needs medication. You take away the medication, and when they begin to act out because they need the medication, you say, see, we need to send this person to a higher level of care, or we need additional medication, and that's part of the system. And that's what we need to break, Mr. Demonic.
Exactly. That is exactly right. And then the thing is, she experienced where the other kids who needed medication the other ones who didn't were getting medication, but they wouldn't give her the medication.
No.
So it's like, and they were doing, what is it?
The other girls, they were on drugs. So
lockdown facility, but it was basically like prison. They would bring in, what was it that they did, Jenny?
Drugs and alcohol
and what about the staff? What was going on with the staff?
Well, I know more about the kids than the staff, but it's very likely the staff were on drugs too.
Well, we don't know for sure. Can't prove that.
No,
but she does know that, I guess, the kids were.
Yes, I know more about the kids than the staff. But the kids were definitely on drugs.
Did the staff see or know that the kids were on drugs?
I don't think they cared. I think they knew, but they didn't really care.
All right. Well, Jani was there. I wasn't there, so I can't say.
And I kept saying, no, I will not do drugs with you. I am not going to do that. And they actually tried to pay me $10. They tried to pay me $10 to do drugs. And I'm like, no, not for 10, not for 100, not for $1 million. I'm not doing drugs.
Right. And you know what? The irony is, because she was off all of her medication and could not control her quote unquote behavior, she was kicking ass there, which was good because in a sense, she was able to protect herself.
That's right.
Well, you tell him.
Well, I had several injuries there because I was off my meds. I couldn't control it. So I would like bang my head on the wall, things like that.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up getting 7 stitches because this kind of had to do with the other girls too. I got 7 stitches in my chin because I basically face planted right on the floor that was like tile, and I got 7 stitches.
So, like I said, this is all going on in the lawsuits that we filed, and
I just want
right now we're just
I just want people to know what goes on in these places,
because
Right.
it's real. And like you, Bobby,
Mm.
people come on my page saying that I'm exaggerating. I'm quote unquote crying wolf. And you know, I mean, I fight regularly on the page against
Right.
one woman, and she knows who she is because I grew up with her a long
Mm-hmm.
time ago, and she and I go back and forth how she thinks, yeah, there's some bad people in the system, but I'm making more of it than it really is. And I'm telling her, I wish I were, but
Right.
no, this is systemic. This is
Right.
not just me and my friends. This is nationwide, and as you can see, that woman's from England. I mean, this is even in other countries. It's so
Right.
bad.
Right. Right.
So, you know,
There's no need for us to exaggerate or exasperate what's going on. This is the actuality of reality. That's why we take these the opportunities to speak out against these injustices that's befalling not just the kids but the families as well, because it's traumatic for everyone. But I always try to seize the opportunity to change the perspective of individuals. Like the guy Demonic, he apologized. He say, I do agree with all that. And Demonic also say, I didn't mean to downplay what she went through. And that's why we seize these opportunities to spread awareness, because it's a lot of people that's not aware of what's going on. I worked in the field of IDD. I worked as a case manager, a behavioral health technician. I worked in psychiatric residential facilities and whatnot. And I can tell you, everything that your daughter just described was spot on.
yep,
Spot on to a T. And a lot of kids, they go into these situations, they take them off the medication. So now they're dysregulated because they can't regulate because they need the medication. It's a necessity. So what they begin to do is, act out. Some fight, some bang their heads, and some pick up other not so productive activities like cutting, because you see other individuals that's in these facilities that start cutting as well. Some people
right.
gravitate towards illicit drugs that's coming from the streets. So it's a multifaceted thing that we're just here to spread awareness to everybody. We're
Thank
not
you.
here to try to
Thank you for
demonize the
doing it.
system. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you know, I kept saying to them, I want to go home. I want to
Right,
go back with my mom. But
right.
I was stuck until I turned 18.
Mm,
But as soon as I turned 18, I went right back to my mom.
And her ladle attorney, Children's Law Center, was
mm-hmm.
what happened when you called her? Because I kept saying to Janny, because at first I thought all this was, I believed in the system, I guess, enough that I said, Janny, you got to call your attorney.
So I did.
So
Right.
she did. What happened, Janny?
Well, what happened was every time I tried to call her, out of the office. Every single time.
Except when it came to the hearings, then she was there.
Exactly. Right, right. I experienced that as well. I at one point in time was naive, and I believed in the what they call minor counsel. Everyone that's not familiar with
Yeah.
this system, minor counsel is the attorneys that represent the children. They don't have a relationship with the children. The only time that they try to reach out to the children is so they can write a court report or write something that kind of like demonizes the parent, which they don't know, right? So one thing that I noticed is that when my son was confessing and saying things to its attorney, the attorney never responded, and my son had told him, made some very very grave revelations or whatnot. He never responded. He never reached out. He never went to visit my son. None of that. It was like, I don't care. Basically, what they're doing is just warehousing kids until they
Yep.
turn 18, and they kick them
Yep.
out into the streets, and then you just got to figure it out.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that's my daughter right now. She's 17. She went through all that, cutting her arms, smoking weed. She got raped by a 22-year-old
Mm,
Mexican guy. And now she's living in a group home or foster home with some woman, you know, and they're trying to set her up to get her own place and everything like that. But developmentally, she's not
she's not
there.
ready.
Yeah,
She's not ready.
and they've completely destroyed our relationship. But I too have seen my daughter, cutting her arms. I still have those pictures today. I actually submitted them to the LA Board of Supervisors when I filed my tort claim, and they denied it. And they had her on medication, and I just was telling my baby, I love you. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Whatever you're going through, I understand. Um, it's just heartbreaking. It's just sad that you can't be there to help your child and
Right.
protect them, from these monsters.
And
Mm.
how does that affect you mentally?
Would you say, Bobby?
How does that affect you mentally? I don't necessarily want to call it guilt, but for me, it was guilt, even though I didn't
Yeah,
contribute to
yeah,
anything that I went through with DCFS and the hurting of my children while they were in DCFS custody. But for me, it was guilt because I feel like
yeah.
as a father, I'm supposed to be the protector and I'm supposed to be there.
Protected.
Yeah, right. So how did
Hmm.
how did it affect you mentally? Because it devastated
Um,
me, and I still deal with it.
I'm still devastated till this day. It never goes away. Um, I will remember this for the rest of my life.
Right,
This is the most traumatic thing that ever happened to me in my life, and
right,
I just can't understand because I'm not a criminal. I haven't committed no crimes. I've been a law-abiding citizen. Um, it's a I take one day at a time.
right,
I had to literally take a 8-month mental health break because it
understand.
was too much, and I needed to do what I needed to do for myself because
Right,
they had me in court every week for a different child
right.
over some BS. So I was mentally, psychologically, physically
Exhausted.
exhausted.
Right, right. I understand. I understand.
We quit work. I had to quit work. I couldn't go to school. I was going to school for administrative criminal law and justice.
Right. You have to take a break from that, huh?
I had to take a break from it because I couldn't retain none of the information because they are attacking me, when I'm trying to put my life back to normal. I have to go to court for this child. I have to go to court for this child, that child. So I wasn't able to focus on my school.
Right.
I had to stop working. I became an in-home care provider.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just totally had to stop working because I needed to focus on my mental health,
Right.
to, and rest. So, what the demonic said, I know they used to try to make me give my daughter medication who didn't need it. Now I have a kid who may need it because of her behavior. They refuse to give it to me. They want me to take her to a mental health. Yeah.
They want the situation to get severely out of hand. If they know that this child needs medication and they refuse to give it, that's because they want the child to
Spaz
excuse me.
spaz out. Because
Yeah.
that's what I'm going through with my son right now. He's having behavior problems. I got him back from his dad now after fighting after 10 years. And he has, behavior problems, mental health problems, developmental issues, psychological issues, emotional attached issues, and I'm trying to get him services and help. And Medicare don't cover what we need. We need trauma therapy, massage therapy to release the trauma up out of his body so that he won't explode when he, become a grown man.
Right.
So I was looking into that and I'm talking to these licensed clinical social worker at UCLA and she's like, "Oh, well, I don't know, how much that costs and that's, cost of money." I said, "Okay, well send me the bill." Because our children deserve the best. We shouldn't have to be struggling to get services afterwards and left to pick up the pieces. So that's what I'm doing, left to pick up
Right.
all their F ups
Right.
and trying to make sure that my son has a team to support him in this whole situation and understand, where what happened and what's going on. And I had to correct the medical records just because
Right.
walking into the school, they're looking at me like I'm crazy, like I was drinking with my baby while I was pregnant with him,
Right. Right. Right.
because they put in this false claims, these false allegations against me. So now, they're looking at me in a different light and I'm speaking to them So now they like, okay, but they judge the book by its cover because I am a black woman.
Right.
And they thought that I was uneducated and I didn't know and I wasn't able to advocate for my son and me. But now I'm advocating for us and I'm advocating for every other child, that has went through this or that's going through this. This is traumatizing. You ripping a child from their a mother. It's like we're walking dead.
Right. They want us to be cattle, easily led, persuaded, dissuaded. They
Mhm.
don't want us to challenge anything. They don't want us to have a voice. They want us to just put on these blinders and ignore what they're doing to our mental health, our families, and basically our communities. When you look at it from a larger perspective and a broader perspective or whatnot, it's an unfortunate situation. And you feel like there's no correcting this situation, right? This system called DCFS, CPS, there's no correcting it, right?
No, it's no correcting it because it's been broken for years and years, and everybody knows that. So if you can't correct it, you have to tear it all the way down because
Hmm.
there's no fixing this. If children are dying in their care and custody, and this
Right,
is a nonprofit organization, all
right,
these courts, CPS, all these people are nonprofit organization, and if our nonprofit organizations were dealing with kids or having custody and children in our care and they're passing away, we wouldn't be operating. We wouldn't be getting funding.
that's true. That's true. That's true.
So our children come first.
That's
So
true.
I don't understand how it's still operating and children are dying, being raped, being left on the street, you know what I'm saying, to prostitute,
Hmm.
to be raped, to be drugged in the room with some men and don't even know what the heck is going on. These are 16, 15-year-old little girls. You see them
Right.
all the way out on Figueroa,
That's
prostituting.
right. Right.
And they should be held accountable because they are the parents supposedly that has all the rights and they shouldn't be having all the rights over no children because they can't even take care of the children that they have in these cares. They dying. Gabriel Fernandez, Anthony
Hmm.
Avila.
So to speak to that, right? And I'm not
Mhm.
playing devil's advocate for Mr. Demonic nor the social workers or the system, but what do we do for those kids out there who are being
Mhm.
abused by their parents, who are being unalived by their parents? Like, what type of system do we put in place to make sure that there's still representation, adequate representation for kids who are experiencing abuse, neglect, and so on and so forth? Because if we destroy the system, then it's hundreds of thousands of kids that goes without being protected from the individuals who's supposed to give them love, nourishment, understanding, healing, direction, and so on and so forth. So what do we do once we destroy that system? What system do we put in place to make sure that there is representation for the welfare and the well-being of kids? And I'm not playing devil's advocate or nothing. You feel me? I do not F with CPS, DCFS, but like you say, the kids matter, and we have to be in a position to where we can readily be able to assist and step in and be there for those kids who parents may have disabilities or mental health disorders or going through a bad relationship. So now the mother or the father want to take all that aggression and hatred out on the child.
Well, I think that this is a call for our community to step up.
Right,
You
right,
know, this
right,
is a
right,
call.
right,
This is a
right.
call right here, right now, for all the gangs to step up. This is a call to put the damn guns down. This is a
Hmm.
call to come together. This is a call to save our children
Right.
in all our communities, black, white, Asians. It doesn't matter. We are all human beings. We all bleed the same.
Correct. Correct.
So,
I agree.
we have to do it at this point because clearly these individuals that's in power and everything like that, they don't give a damn about us. They only care about what they got going on. And I personally have witnessed this. We try to get community centers in the low income communities, but we got Mark Really Thomas over here on the phone scrolling down Facebook or whatnot while I'm speaking. So,
Right.
and we go up here many a time and try to talk about what the community needs. We see liquor stores on every corner in our communities. You go in Beverly Hills don't have no DCFS office.
Hmm.
They don't have no liquor store on every corner. They have fresh fruits and vegetables, and their streets, they're not bumpy like ours. They get a
Mm-hmm.
call, they make sure that it is fixed immediately. If they don't like the stop sign, they can get that changed. So our communities, they are using us, Black African American people, as a poster guy, to get their funding or whatever. But it needs to stop. It needs to go to the community, the people that actually police the community. We need the gangs to police our communities, not hurt each other, because those days are over. It's 2025, and we have one enemy in common. And that's what we as a people, as the world, as people, need to wake up and realize that, and see what they're doing to our children. We got mental health, facilities all in our communities. Why we can't have no raging water in our communities? Why we can't have no Whole Foods in our communities? Why we can't have no jobs?
Right.
Why we can't line up to have a free location just to, what I'm saying, distribute food, groceries, housing supplies. On Manchester and Hoover, they have a Dollar Tree there. It's so many people in that community, and elderly people as well, that can't get to the store, to rouse on Manchester and Western.
Right.
So, everybody, where's the homeless money? Where's the Section 8 money? You guys are there getting funding to help the people that's navigating through CPS that is homeless, but the families can't get no Section 8 voucher. The families can't get
Right.
the assistance that they need when they're talking to the social worker. And I'm a witness to that, because I have asked that myself. I was in a single with 2 kids. I said, well, can you help me out with a Section 8 voucher? And they hurry up
Right.
and close that case. Just so they wouldn't, I didn't need any help. They didn't see anything wrong. Thank you, Jesus. But at the same time, when people do need help, they don't try to help the parents. They try to take their children. I had a parent, she came to me, her baby passed away off SIDS.
Hmm.
And, that's very heartbreaking. And, CPS got involved, and she was, staying in the room, trying to pay the room. We all know how expensive the rooms are. Instead of them trying to
Especially
help
in
her,
Los Angeles.
yeah, and they're trying to take her kid. I said, no, CPS needs to pay for your hotel room, pay for your baby
Right.
funeral,
Facts.
help you out, take some of this stress off of you, not come and try to build a case against you behind your back and try to say, oh,
Right.
the case is on the father. And then they told her that she will not receive the court report until the day she come to court.
That's illegal.
And that's what
That
I
is
told her.
illegal.
I said, you
But
have a Los
that's the
Angeles
same thing they did to us.
dependency.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
She has a Los Angeles dependency lawyer that our taxpayers are paying, our tax dollars. And they get billions and billions of dollars. And they are lying to parents. They're not advising parents of their rights. They're not giving them evidence. They're not giving us the reports so that we can be able to write an opposition to their report and, defend ourselves.
Right.
So she didn't know, but I end up having them, helping her. And they finally end up paying for her baby's funeral.
Right.
And I said the things that they need to help her with, she's waiting for Section 8 to come and look at the place that she just got so that she can move in. That's the things that they should be worried about. Making
Right.
sure that, hey, y'all hurry up and do this inspection so this mother can, lay down and rest, because she's just buried her 5-month-old baby.
Mm.
and she lives in a room struggling, trying to, pay the money for the room and take care of the kids, because she got 6 other kids. So the baby that passed
Hmm.
away was maybe number 7.
Right.
So, and I went to school with this girl, so they need to help out with light bill, gas bills. They don't give parents that information. They don't try to find those resources. So, we will have to build a parents, nationwide on the top, movement. And, I know there's nonprofits organizations out there that's genuinely, for the children and for the people. So if you there, let's go. It's time to stand up. It's time to protect our children, because that's the most important thing in this world. They are our
Right.
future. And we should be damned if we let some people, traffic our children and rape and torture them. Um, and we're here. We're adults. We are the adults. So,
Right.
like I said, this is a call. We need all the gangs to step up and let's save
Put
our
the guns
children.
down.
The guns down, and let's team up. Because that's the most powerful thing that we can do as a
Right.
community, as a human race, and as a people. We
I
want
agree.
all love. We should just give all love. It's 2025. It's so much hatred out here. We just need all love. And thank you, Bobby.
For Shigadel, I appreciate you coming by, Ray. It's much, much appreciated. This is a call of action to the Crips, Bloods, Gangsters, Disciples, Vice Lords. We see the atrocities that can befall our community when us, as the men, the warriors, the protectors, are constantly um just deep into these gang wars. It leaves our community, our women, and our children open for any manner of attack from any organization, any ethnicity, any anything. You feel what I'm saying? So this is a call to action, man. I'm hoping that we can put these guns down and let's start focusing on community events. Let's start focusing on creating dialogue about how do we strengthen and how do we rectify the conditions of our community. With that being said, man, it's your player partner, Bobby WAJ. Let's live in peace before we be forced rest in it. Too black, too strong. We all we need. We all we got. Gone.